All right. Today we're going to be talking about solving compound inequalities that are conjoined by the word and. So, first of all, a compound inequality. So we've been solving and graphing inequalities for a week or so now. Now we're going to do two at a time. So they can either be joined, the two inequalities, by the word and or the word or, and we're going to just focus on and today. So what it means and what it looks like when we have an and in there is, well, if I'm saying like this and that, I mean both of those things at the same time. So when I have compound inequalities where it's this inequality and this one, I want only where they cross, only where they're together. So let's talk about what it looks like first. If I have, let's see, if I've got an inequality that's going this way, and I've got another one, we'll say going the same way this time, I only want when this one and this one are around, and that's only right here where they overlap. They're both there at the same time, this one and that one. So and means we keep the overlap. Now, just while we're talking about symbols and talking about new things, this one we should be able to kind of guess what that means. But as far as what it looks like for compound inequalities, well, if all we're keeping is the overlap, it's only when they're both there at the same time. Well, what if they never overlap? Then we have no solution. And so that's just a button on delta math that we can have. So let's take a look at what it looks like. We've got two inequalities joined by the word and so step one, I mean, we didn't know what x is so that we can actually graph it eventually. So we got to solve them. And they're just two-step equations. We've done this a million times, so let's just get it done. I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. Not 9, 7. 2x is less than 2. I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides. X is less than 1. So there's one of them. And then we're going to do it again. 21 minus 7 is 14. Divide by 2, divide by 2. X is less than 7. Okay. I have step 2 as graph on the number line, and then we write the inequality, because if we just said this and this, well, first of all, notice you don't have an and button, so it's gonna look different than it started, first of all. And then second of all, remember, we don't know what it looks like yet. We don't know what we're keeping. So if we're going to get rid of some stuff, then we might get rid of an inequality. So let's graph it and see what happens. I'm going to get rid of those. That's confusing. So no line under it means open circles. So I'm going to have open circles all the way through. And we're going to start on 7. And I'm saying x is less than 7. So numbers less than 7. That's going to be this way. And I also have numbers less than 1, so that's going to be also this way, starting on 1. So where they cross, remember this is an and, that means I'm only keeping the overlap. And I see they're both there up until the 1 spot. So that's what I'm going to keep. My final, let's see. I'm going to do my final in red, but you show it somehow. My final is just this one. Okay, so I'm going to play that back. we solved the inequalities, we graphed both of them to see what it looked like, and then with an and, we only keep where they overlap. So they only overlap from, that's technically negative infinity to 1. So with that, if I got rid of everything that the 7 brought to the table, like I got rid of that, all I have is 1 and then everything less than it. So if that's all I kept, then that's all I'm going to keep. And I'm not even going to bother with this one. My final answer is x is less than 1. So our the way we're going to say this is we're going to keep the shorter one. Okay, flip your page. So that's one case, that's one way it can look. So that's both of our lines going the same way. Well, what if they don't go the same way? So let's try it out. I'm gonna solve them. I'm gonna move it over here because I immediately ran out of room. X is less than, or that's a greater than, but if I'm reading it this way, -5. Notice my negative is on the top. It is not on the bottom, so I am not going to flip my sign. Now we're going to do it one more time. So 3 is less than or equal to x. Okay, so now I'm going to graph them so that I can see what they look like. And I'm going to kind of put it on top up here so that my final is actually the one on the number line. So I have -5 is greater than x. So we're going to start on -5, and that's going to be an open circle. And -5 is greater than everything else. So that means -5 needs to be the biggest thing. Everything else is less. So when the number is first, the thought process kind of feels a little bit backwards. But with that said, that's kind of how you say that. -5 is greater than x, so -5 needs to be bigger than everything. 3 is less than or equal to x, so that's going to be a closed circle on 3. And 3 is less than everything else, so everything else needs to be bigger. And here we have 2 arrows that are going opposite ways, and they never overlap. So if an and is when I only keep the overlap, we now have to use that symbol. So your final is blank. Like your final number line, you kept nothing because there's no overlap. So you need to leave it blank. And then you're going to use this symbol in here. So that is what that looks like when they go opposite directions and then never cross. What if they go opposite directions and they do cross? So, last one. Let's see. 20 is less than or equal to 4x. 5 is less than or equal to x. -3, -3. 48. X is less than 12, or 12 is greater than x. All right, so let's graph it. Closed circle on 5. And 5 is less than or equal to x, so everything else needs to be bigger. And then 12 is greater than x, so open circle on 12. And everything else is less. Everything else is smaller. Okay. They overlap right here. This case, like when this happens, I call it Baymax eyes, because when you write your final answer, So keep your circles, right? This is a closed circle. This is an open circle. It looks like Baymax's eyes from Big Hero 6. So that is what we keep because we only keep the overlap. And then how I write this, here's my quick trick. The symbols will, so if I do the smaller number first, so the 5, then my symbols will always go the same way. So no, what I did essentially is I flipped this the other way, and then you squish them together. So this is one line, like this is one thing. Your inequality notation needs to also just be one thing, but it's like a sandwiched inequality. You've got numbers on both sides. So it's smaller number, less than x, less than bigger number. If you always put the smaller number first, you always have less than. So that is what that inequality notation looks like, and that's what the graph looks like. And that is the end of my lesson. So have a good day.